without further ado, let us say hello to old Chael P. Hello, Chael. How are you?
I am well. Thank you, Ariel. It's nice to be here. How are you, man? There is a lot going on. Hey, I got to ask you real fast. What about your doll game? I haven't seen these before. I see Adesanya,
yes.
But I see a wrestler that's getting blocked by a stage. Who do you got there? Who's the wrestler? Nope, other side.
Oh, this
other
one.
Side.
This one.
Wrestler in a singlet. Yeah.
This is our old friend, the Turncoat DC.
Oh, that is Daniel Cormier. Wow, I didn't even know they made dolls back then. That'd be 2008. Okay, then it looks as though maybe you've got a Damian Lillard.
What?
It's a Portland jersey with the number 0 here. Yeah, right there.
Wow. The fact that you know who Damian Lillard is blows me away.
I'm in Portland.
You know what? That's a good point. That's a great point.
I'm not crazy. I'm not overly thrilled with Lillard, quite frankly.
Tell me. Why are you upset?
When you come to Portland, they've got this weird thing, the Blazers. I mean, they really do. Like, they've got this very weird thing where they don't show the respect to me as the athlete from town that they should. There's the truth, but they never have. Right, they're this little group that nobody, I mean, they don't hang out with anybody. They come to the game, and you get these fake fans, you give them a bunch of money, then they go hang out at home by themselves. But I mean, this is real. Like, they're not men of much people. You're not going to be at the store and run into one of these guys. And I see Lillard posting on social media constantly, like clout chasing and boxing and all sorts of stuff. I don't ever see him acknowledge me. And I'll tell you, it's a jealousy thing, but it's also a piss-off thing. And if I talk to Damian Lillard on social media, particularly when it's about fighting, which he's always trying to act like he's some kind of a tough, you talk to Chael. You don't ignore Chael. And if you do ignore Chael, when you see Chael, Chael will whip your ass. And that's where Lillard and I stand, if you want to know the truth.
What? Have you ever met him?
No, I'm not going to beat up Lillard, by the way. But,
I know.
You know, no, I haven't met him. I haven't met him, but I do notice the attitude. Like, I mean, he's texting like Earl Spence and Crawford. He doesn't know the difference between a jab and a hook. He doesn't know a wrist lock from a wrist rock, as they say. But he doesn't acknowledge Chael as the tough in this market.
Yeah, no.
I will show him. I will just help him. I will help him across that bridge if I ever run into him.
You will make him humble.
Yeah, I'll just give him an opportunity. Yeah. I'll give him an opportunity.
Yeah. By the way, he's trying to leave.
Hey,
Portland.
I'm Chael. I'm seconds away from whipping your ass.
I thought you were going to say
like
that you were mad that he was forcing his way out of
will.
Portland. I thought that's what you were. But there's a very good chance you don't even know about
good
this.
riddance. Hey, those guys are all horse. Those guys are all. You're cheering for Jersey, and I know that's a Jerry Seinfeld reference, but it's true. They're not real. These guys aren't from Oregon, and they're not going to be in Portland tomorrow if somebody else writes them a bigger check. It's disgusting.
No.
In that regard, it's very disappointing. Yeah, but I'm a wrestling fan, so it's the opposite, right? I brought up Daniel Cormier was the first one I even noticed on your stage there. It's very different. You would back who you're with in wrestling. You wouldn't be a whore for money.
I'm actually, after the show today, going to paint a Russian singlet on DC because he's that big of a turncoat. I got
big news, bro.
Yeah.
You want to get into it, or you want to hold up your dolls?
Oh, wow. Okay, let's get into it. Sorry. I didn't know you had news.
Zuckerberg.
Oh, Jesus.
Zuckerberg contacts me because he saw your tweet that I'm coming on.
Oh, my God.
Zuckerberg has told me that he has agreed to fight Elon Musk at UFC 300. And it was a very big deal. He kept bringing up like the date because Elon could never say he doesn't have something to do. He could never say that he was busy. So what do you want me to do with this? Why don't you call in? Why don't you just call in? He said, you tell Ariel. Ariel knows how to get a hold of my people. That's what he said. I delivered the message.
Is this true? Is this a shoot?
That just happened. Ethan is my witness. My son Thero, my dog Duke.
Wow, this is a shoot.
This is a shoot.
You know what's funny? I actually DM'd him about a similar topic. So you're saying? Can I repeat? You're saying Mark Zuckerberg DM'd you because he found out.
No. I was on the phone.
What?
The phone.
You talked to him on the phone? First time?
Yes. My face lit up Meta. By the way, I did this to impress a girl back when I was because if I was at the Olympic Training Center in Colorado Springs, they had one phone. It was free and you could call anywhere in the world, but you only got 5 minutes. And there was a person that monitored it. Anyway, when you called people, their phone, it would say United States Olympic Training Center. So I used to go there and I had nobody to talk to. I would call every number I knew just because his popped up Meta. I thought it was cool and I answered the phone.
Okay, so, and he says, hi, Chael, Mark Zuckerberg here. Did you ask him how he got your number?
No.
Okay.
Rolled right with it like we were old friends.
Yeah.
I thought maybe we were. The way he talked to me was like we were, and I spent some time in Palo Alto. Stanford used to have a wrestling program and whatnot. Frank Shamrock used to train with the Stanford team. And the way he said, I just went with it. I did the same thing when I talked to Dana White for the first time ever. He called me Chael. He says, hey, Chael. Dana. And I said, hey, like we were all, I didn't have the number in my phone or anything. Said, you want to fight Anderson Silva? I said, yeah, I'll fight Anderson. He said, good, because I just went on SportsCenter and announced it. I said, okay, hung up the phone. I was on my way to practice anyway.
That's a tremendous story, by the way. What troubles me about that story is you had like 6 fights in the UFC before the Anderson fight. He still thought your name was Chael?
Chael Sonnen. He thought it was Chael Sonnen the first time I fought Anderson Silva.
That's crazy.
Chael Sonnen. Chael Sonnen was around for a long time.
Oh, my God. Yeah, that is true. Like Gustafsson.
See, that's payback, Errol. Right, I have a hard time getting names right, too.
That's
I have a hard time with those, And then when they screw me, when Magomed Cherryapov, right when I take the time to learn Zabit, whose name's Zabit? Who names their kid Zabit? And then he goes off and be's a doctor. What's the point in learning names if they're going to treat you like that,
That's true.
What's the point in knowing the difference from your rear and your ear? What difference does it make?
Piera.
Hey, what a game he's playing, by the way. Yair Rodriguez launched this strategy. Yair Rodriguez is straight up badass. In real life, I'm telling you don't piss off Yair Rodriguez. And about a year and a half ago, he starts this shtick where he doesn't say anything. He starts this shtick where he's not going to do anything. He starts this shtick where media can come against him and he's not going to correct it. He starts this shtick where he goes to the ground, goes for an armbar, and damages one of the Gracie top jiu-jitsu fighters that he didn't take any credit for it. He acted like it was an accident. Like Rodriguez went very strategically into a place of being ignored. And now he's right on the cusp, weeks away from Volkanovski, which you would think is a walk in the park. You think it's a walk in the park to the point that Volk is doing more things talking about Islam than he is talking about Rodriguez. And I'm telling you, I don't know if that plays in the fight. I will just tell you, this was Yair's plan from the beginning. And it's working. He is getting all the attention off him. He's putting all the pressure over here, and he's coming under the radar. And it's very interesting. See, because you see how good Emmett was over the weekend. You see how tough Emmett was over the weekend. That tells you something about Rodriguez. Emmett's performance and how tough and how good he looked and good in positions changes Rodriguez versus Volk. Because now you start to understand just how good Rodriguez really is.
Okay, this is all very fascinating, but like we just ran right through the Zuckerberg phone call. We have to go back to that. You're saying,
go back to that.
Yes, Zuckerberg calls you, finds out you're coming.
And I'm cloud chasing. Hey, by the way, I know I'm a name dropper. I know that. I'm from a small town. This is a big deal. Like, I'm playing this cool with you right now. This is a big deal. I want to be the guy that called me. But I admit it before anybody calls me. I know that's what I'm doing. It's a cool moment for me. And I'm passing the message, but go ahead.
I appreciate it. And you're continuing your streak of breaking news while on this program, which is huge for us. It gives us clout. So he says, I know you're going on Ariel's show. I want to let you know the plan is for me to fight Elon Musk at UFC 300 next spring, I believe it is. And I've agreed, or what? Where does it stand?
Everything about that except for next spring. UFC 300, and then he made a point. He made a point that I was supposed to tell you. Tell Errol, because there's no way to get out. He said there's no way his calendar is busy. A year from now, this is what he said. A year from now, I didn't check when it was, or spring or something like this. But I thought it was a big deal because they are fighting in public too. Like, whether they actually get out there and trade hands, there is a public fight going on. I mean, Elon Musk challenged him. He didn't challenge him to a game of horseshoes. He challenged him to a sport that's number one criteria is damage. He threatened to damage him. It's a big deal.
How do you feel about this?
It's a big deal. I don't know if people have followed it. Sorry to cut you up, but I don't know if people have followed it. I mean, you remember the missile situation where reportedly Zuck put like $200 million into a missile and it blew up in space, and Elon's like, sorry, and just moved on. And just, I mean, you know where this whole beef started, right?
How do you feel about them fighting in the UFC? Are you on board with this idea? Do you like it? Do you not like it?
I am extremely interested in it. I'm interested from a standpoint of being silly. We get to have fun in the UFC about every 10 years. Dana White is extremely stuck in his palm. I mean, we didn't used to get to do champ. We didn't used to get to see women fight. I mean, there was very stuck in policies. And about every 10 years, we would get a James Toney. or we'll get a CM Punk. We get to have fun. Not very often. We get serious business and the integrity of this, but every now and then we get to have fun. We get to see a Conor versus Floyd, and we're at that point. We're at that, X amount of time has gone by, and we're about to have some fun. So, yeah, I'm interested in it. I'm very interested in it.
Can I play devil's advocate for a moment?
The fact that one billionaire wants to fight another billionaire and thought he would call a third billionaire for permission.
That's true.
Like, I don't really know where that comes from, but I got to give Dana credit here for, there's no other promoter that could even come to the table now. It'd be weird. Those two either fight in the UFC or they don't fight at all. I think we can agree on that. And that really was a strategic move by Dana. I mean, they could film this on their iPhone. They could put it on Twitter. They could put it on Instagram. They could put it on Facebook. Wow, what a thought. And it's one of these things where, no, we're going to go over here.
Are you surprised about that? They could put on their own event, on an island, truly on an island, and it would sell millions of pay-per-views, right? One would think. Why do you think they need the UFC or want to do this? Is it part of the appeal? Like, hey, I'm a UFC fighter for a night. It's like the fantasy camp thing.
Yep. Absolutely. I wish I mentioned CM Punk a moment ago, and I wish that Punk would have gone a little with this, but I'm friends with Punk, and so maybe it's a little bit of biasness, but when Punk came into the UFC, he never said, I'm going to beat George St. Pierre. I'm going to challenge Michael Bisping. It was basically a bucket list. Hey, what an opportunity that I run into Lorenzo, and Lorenzo personally offered. What an opportunity. And that's how Punk approached this. And every minute he spent in there was awesome. And I think people could relate to that, but he never quite came out and said that. And I wish that he would have, but it's relevant. And I use that example because yes, that would be the Lord of the UFC. Zuck, I don't know that he watches cage fights. I don't know that he goes to the local YMCA, but I know that he sat cage side in the UFC.
Fair.
And, I know that Musk does things with Ari Emanuel and whatnot. So, yes, I think that it needs to be. I mean, I could relate to that. If I was to play football, I don't want to play it down to football, but it was in the NFL. I would do it. I would go on Monday night and play one down, no matter what happened, if it was there. And people understand that concept.
That makes sense. Can I tell you how I feel about this? And I think some people would be surprised with my stance. Yeah. You know me. I like to have fun. I'm a fun guy, right? I like pro wrestling as well.
Hey, he's texting. Zuck is texting. Hold on. I gotta tell him to call in.
Can you tell him to call in? Let's do a three-way.
Yes. How do I do that? Do you want to tell me a number and then everyone's good? Do you want to text me something?
Yes.
I'll text to him He's watching right now. Right now. This is happening right now.
How do you know this is?
Hey, how cool will I look? Will I look cool? Right, I came on not knowing who Daniel Cormier was, and I'm going to whip Damian Lillard's ass. What if I pull off Zuck? Huh? Will I be a cool guy? Will I get cool guy? I don't want to do this if I'm not a cool guy. Do I get something?
This would be the greatest pull in the history. But by the way, how do you know it's not someone like scamming you right now?
Because it said meta. Like the train center. Hey, leap of faith. This isn't perfect science. This is I've been catfished before. I got catfished by Aspen Ladd.
Come on.
Yes.
What do you mean? Wait, is he texting you right now?
This is happening right now. He's watching it right now. That's what I'm saying. Shoot me a link. I'm going to forward it to him. This is happening. This is in real time. So I'm going to get him to call in. But I want people to give me credit. I want people to be like, hey, Chael's the source, man.
You should get all the credit. You should get a percentage of pay-per-view buys.
That's all I need to hear. No, no, from you.
Here, I'm sending you the link right now.
Is somebody sending me something?
Yes, I'm sending it to you right now.
I'm holding my phone.
I'm sending it to you. Just 1 second. But
I'm going to hold my phone. What do you think of this, Errol? You know what this is? You know what this is right here?
Oh, yeah.
Battery pack.
It's huge.
80% life.
I just sent it to you, by the way.
All right.
And by the way,
I'm ordering it right now.
What if it's Greg 16676935420 who pops up?
I know that guy. Not in real life. I hate that. I wish they'd ban him. That dude is so annoying. You're talking about the Twitter guy.
Yes. What if it's him playing a prank on you?
Greg 1024769.
What if it's him?
All right, hold on. I gotta forward this.
Wait,
if this goes down, this will be cool. Hey, by the way,
you just sent me the link. Hey, you just sent me the link.
Oh, you know how that happens. You know how you do. Okay. Hey, Aaron, but what if we are getting catfish? Don't forget about that. That's going to be funny, too. What if some dude just pops on?
Can you FaceTime him real quick just to confirm it's him?
I don't know. If it says meta, I assume that's a landline.
Oh, my God.
What do I do? Do I push the button?
Call him first.
Here, I forwarded to him, and I got bubbles.
What's he saying?
Nothing. I got bubbles. He's not saying anything. I got bubbles.
And you spoke to him, right? You heard his voice. It sounded like him?
That was earlier. Right now, he says he's watching the show, and I'm trying to get him a link to call in. I've already sent it to him, and I'm getting bubbles. All right.
I'm so nervous
Let's see where this goes. This would be exciting. You know, this is truly a show about nothing. I think people expect more from us. Should we do something today?
Yes. But I don't even. Oh, can I just?
Ili Taporia.
Wait, can
I ask you a question? Yeah. No, you go ahead. You go ahead, please. I'm trying to downplay. I'm excited.
I don't mind this fight. I actually think it's fun because what it does is it will hopefully give an opportunity to other people, right? Like, imagine whoever fights in the second to last fight before Elon Musk versus Zuckerberg. You know, they're not fighting Ilia Taporia. They're not fighting some crazy, killer from Russia. So it's all well and good. So I think some people would be surprised to hear me say, I don't mind this at all. I actually don't mind it.
Yep.
Here's the one issue I have with it. 2 weeks ago, and I want to get your response. 2 weeks ago, Dana White said, we don't do gimmick fights here. We don't do Francis Ngannou against Anthony Joshua. That's not what we do here. The best fight the best. How can you say that and then be open to this?
Errol, I would tell people I don't rob banks.
Yes.
But I have robbed a bank before. And all I mean by that is, like, in a broad stroke, 4 banks, 5 banks, but you understand, I've robbed, but I don't rob banks. I think in a broad stroke, Dana's being very serious. Let me tell you something. I worked for Dana White. I worked for Scott Coker. And so many people, including yourself, asked me, hey, what's the difference between those two? And it was very hard for me to answer because there were so many similarities. But there is one. You pitch a fight to Scott Coker. The words you want him to say back to you is fun. That would be fun. If you pitch a fight to Dana White, the word you're looking for is interesting. If Dana says interesting, you're going to get it. If Coker says fun, you're going to get it. So, but I do say, no, he doesn't do gimmicky fights. That's true. He does't do gimmick. He doesn't bring in the 500-pounder and the 180-pounder. Now, that doesn't mean that, to my point, of every now and then we get to have fun. Sure we do.
Okay, so everyone needs to lighten up a little bit.
Yeah, well, but you got something very special here. I mean, you and I proved the point earlier, right? We're kind of arguing both sides here. We proved the point earlier when we said they don't need Dana. They didn't need permission. They didn't need this third party. They could do it on there, and it would be, if there's 6 billion people on Earth like they speculate, 5.5 billion would see that fight, right? Just through their platforms. So, I mean, I just share that with you, that if it is something fun and he has an opportunity, he wants to bring it to us, it'd be very nice of Dana, and it would be rude of him to not bring it to us.
How many pay-per-view buys do you think they legitimately sell?
Oh, you could for sure do 10 million.
10 million?
Yeah, but Ariel, you could be closer to 20 and 25 because what I would predict is both of their companies would start some kind of a digital arm. So all of a sudden, I believe that Twitter would be hosting pay-per-views, and I believe Facebook would as well. Now you're talking 25 million. You just hear that? That's insane what I just said. You could do that if the business, if it shifted and changed a little bit. Sure, you could.
Also, am I crazy?
Sure, you could.
Isn't Musk much bigger than him? Like, there's got to be some sort of weight, right? Yeah. Like weight class?
Pay-per-views are estimated to be in 73 million homes. To put in perspective for you. So if you had 15 million, like I just said, you have about, as I'm talking my head, about 32% of the market. That's insane. That's an insanely high number, but yeah, all in, yeah.
And
right, you have the people watching, and then you have the sales. I think you were asking me about sales.
Yeah.
I'm more of the people watch, 5-6 people get together type thing.
That's fair. That's fair.
They only got 73 million homes, but yeah, it'd be massive, bro.
By the way,
massive.
If Zuck asks you to train him, would you say yes?
No, I wouldn't.
What?
I wouldn't do it because he's got a coach, Mike Musialini, who's his jiu-jitsu coach, and Zuckerberg fancies jiu-jitsu, and Zuckerberg is giving up size. So if you're going to do anything, I believe you're going to defer back to 1993 Hoist Gracie, who taught us how to take on bigger men, and it's through the source of jiu-jitsu, and I want to step on Mikey's toes. That's it.
That's his head coach? Darth Rigatoni?
Yeah. Well, for jiu-jitsu, he just enlisted him. Yeah. Zuck entered a tournament, which, puts him in a different category, in all fairness. You can poke fun, and we can do whatever we're doing. We're kind of doing that with Musk and Zuck right now. But when Zuck entered a tournament agreeing to take on whoever else showed up, and he didn't know who that was, and he walked to the mat when they called his name to take on whoever else walked to the mat, it put him in a different category. Like, the gig is up. He's in the club. That's just the truth.
Who do you think wins?
Well, Zuck is training. I don't know. I wouldn't think Elon called him out if he wasn't. I want to think that Elon called him out unless Elon's also got the secret dungeon and has people,
this is crazy.
Come in.
And
I know some heavy hitters that that have worked as Elon's security. You know, Jake Ellenberger just comes to mind. But
wow, I didn't know that.
Went out to Texas and did a wedding that Elon, I think it was one of his kids, and so he's surrounded with those people. I don't know of any training, but I wouldn't, you know, I would think that he must be doing some. I'm guessing. Hey, is that calling in? Are we getting?
What's going on?
I've got bubbles. It's still bubbles, bro. It's still just. I just got the bubbles, like he said.
No one has clicked on it.
Okay, I don't know what to do. I'm just telling you. I was asking you. Is he calling in?
Is this going to be like Douglas Crosby? It's going to be like the biggest wet fart of all time.
Oh, that would.
Imagine.
You couldn't put that beyond me, but no, I didn't have time. I didn't have time to prepare anything for you.
Did you hear his voice? Did you hear his voice? And couldn't someone do like an AI thing?
How did they get me, man? Why did they get me? They saw the Twitter.
I mean, this is exactly why they got you, because you were coming on my show and they knew that this was going to happen and we both look like idiots.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, how many people saw that tweet? I saw it, but I mean, how many people had time to see that? Of those people, who knew how to do that? Who knew how to do AI? Who got? I don't know. And what's the prank here? If they call in and like they got their pants pulled down or something, okay, they got. But if they don't call in at all, I don't know. I don't think we're burned.
There might be some kid in freaking, I don't know, Uzbekistan right now who's having a grand old time watching us talk about this.
But he would call in. He would have called in by now. We've got bubbles, dog. We got bubbles. This means something.
Okay, let's wait on that.
Yeah.
We'll wait on that. Can I ask you about this PFL controversy? Because if anyone knows about, you know, like worked fights, I feel like it would be you. Not because you've ever worked a fight.
And I thought you were going to ask me about Aspen Ladd catfish. But yeah, let's do the PFL controversy.
Okay, we'll do Aspen Ladd in a moment. But you have these two guys who are friends and teammates, and they essentially like they do a dance. Like this is not even a work. Like I don't even know what it was. It was like a gentleman's agreement that we are not going to hurt each other. PFL gets upset. They suspend the winner, Natan Schulte, and they allow Shane Burgos, as a result of the standings, to essentially enter the playoffs, waltz right into the playoffs. Are you okay with this, or does this, you know, ruin the sanctity of what the PFL is trying to build?
The PFL has done some things lately that have been awesome. Well, I mean, where you look at them, you go, God, good job, God. Wow, you did. But this is one of them, Errol. I mean, when they made this decision, they came out and got in front of everything. They had a wonderful PR operator who, when they released this decision, I read about it on your website, said why they had the right to do it. They stated what was in the bylaws of the contract, that you agree at all times to bring your best skill set and aggression against all opponents. It was very interesting. They showed what the violation was I think any reasonable person would agree was violated. So, no, I did not think that the PFL was wrong. There was a night, Errol, and you might remember this, and I believe his name was Oliver McCall, but he was boxing. It was a heavyweight fight, and he had a breakdown. He started crying in the ring. Yes. And it was a terrible moment, and the promoter afterwards tried to not pay him. And he tried to not pay him, arguing, you didn't show. I paid you to show and fight. You did not fight. And that was wrong. That was scummy, and it got to a court who made the promoter pay. But I just had a remembrance of that, right? Of course you pay the guy, but there's certain things that you do. There's certain other arms that you have. And I really thought the PFL did a great job here.
Okay, so you don't feel like it looks like they're favoring Shane if, Shane was their big fish.
Hey, did you see who he's got? Did you see who Burgos is going to fight?
Yes.
That's a fire fight. That's a great fight. No, that isn't the point. That's not why you do these things. That's a great fight. Burgos' next fight, that is
Clay Collard.
Awesome.
Clay Collard.
Yes, Collar's seeded number one.
Yeah, who would have thought?
Collar's supposed to beat him. And style-wise, Collard might beat him. Collar is a fantastic Western boxer.
Yes, he is. Wow, look at you.
He reminds me of me. He reminds me, I go to the body like nobody. I come underneath up here. Ooh, I had power. I had power in my hands there. That's what they talked about when they talk about me. Man, that guy's got fire in his hands.
You have the gift of the jab and the gift of the gab. Chael, I saw you in this movie, Mojave Diamonds. I mean, this is some type of acting. I didn't know. And I also saw you swear in this. Can I, for those that may have missed it, I have the clip. Do you mind if I play the clip real quick?
You go right ahead.
All right.
Play the clip.
Here's the clip of Chael on...
Permission to do this?
I have permission. Yes, I got permission. Mojave Diamonds. Here we go.
You think he's here for any other reason than to ask me for money or a place to stay?
What's up, boys? What's all the ruckus?
Talking about you, little brother. Nice to see you. You called at 2 a.m. and now you popped out here, and I got a feeling it's because you need something. Am I close?
Man, fuck you.
Man, fuck you.
Should never came here.
Yeah, I agree with that. You never were invited.
You never were
Look at
invited.
your face. You had a hard enough time with some guy for 20 bucks. You want to say fuck you to me?
Stop.
Now your fucking face is gonna look.
Oh my gosh, Chael. Whoa,
I
there's a
didn't
dog.
love that.
That was incredible, Chael.
Oh, that's Duker. He was taking a nap.
No.
Thank you for saying that, right? And the Oscar goes to, and I didn't like the cursing.
I've never heard you swear. I've never heard you swear before.
No, I have never used 4-letter word in public. So, but it's my first time in a movie, and blah. Couldn't put my foot. I only put my foot down on one thing. I had a kissing scene. I can't kiss anybody with Miss Brittany, so I refused to do the kissing scene. But I said the bad words, but I got to tell you, I didn't like saying the bad words.
By the way, it says a lot about you. Did he text?
No, that was actually Joel.
Oh, hey Joel.
People are watching me telling you this, and they're going nuts here. But
would your wife have been okay with the kissing scene, or did you say no because she ultimately wouldn't have been okay with it?
I never tested it. I cannot. If the roles were reversed, even in the form of art, I would not have been okay with it.
Okay.
So I did not test it.
Okay, fair enough. And did you enjoy the process of being an actor? I mean, honestly, I'm not kidding. You may think I'm blowing smoke. I thought you did a fantastic job. I felt like I was watching you just having a normal conversation, which I feel like is the best compliment that you could give an actor, right? It doesn't feel like you're acting. It just feels like you're being yourself.
That's really sweet of you. Well, a little backstory on that. So you do what's called a read, and then you're supposed to memorize things. I'm really, really good at memorization. I mean, some would say like telegraphic, even photographic. I could hear a song maybe twice, and then I could go karaoke it like back in college. But Ariel, my eyes started getting bad, and that's somewhat recent. It's a very frustrating thing I'm dealing with, like the regression. But it was happening then. So I couldn't see the script.
Oh
I couldn't see it to memorize it. So we would go and we do what's called a table read. I would have to just get the gist right there. And so some of those things that maybe you thought, looked real or something, I'm not trying to put it over too much, but some of the things that made me think, wow, he really did that right. It's because I didn't know what was actually, and I was getting credit. Like the director, Asif was giving me credit. Oh man, and it's called something. That's called some kind of acting, and method acting or something. He was saying these things to me. Oh man, that's what De Niro does. He was saying things like this. I couldn't see I just couldn't see the lines. I think that's kind of interesting.
That
Maybe
is incredible. Not. I mean, it just speaks to your genius. What's the Aspen Ladd story?
Aspen Ladd, I was talking to for a period of time. I don't know what that would mean. 7 months, though. It's a period of time through DMs on Twitter. And then I get a long DM. And it was very clear that this was a copy and paste. And somewhere in there, they made the mistake of referencing Aspen Ladd, which is not Aspen Ladd, which is not how you would speak.
Okay.
You wouldn't say, right, I'm not going to send you a message and go, and Chael Sonnen will be on the such and so. Right, I would say me, I. So I had him. I called him out on it. I said, hey, WTF. This is a copy and paste for one, which changes everything. And two, right, and the gal's like, oh my God, you're right. I thought you knew that. I'm not Aspen. Here's who I is. She's a great gal. She's a great gal. Friends with Reed Harris. Ends up calling me because got the number from, I'm just saying, like, it was a small world and she wasn't trying to fool me, but I was fooled.
But was the Twitter account Aspen Ladd?
Yes, it was Aspen Ladd's account, but she had what the kids call a publicist.
Oh, well, Aspen Ladd has a publicist?
Yeah, this was early Aspen.
Oh, okay.
This is like, 1 or 2 weight misses Aspen. This is, before, and still had the team.
Interesting. Okay. By the way, you mentioned Taporia. High on him? Like him? Championship material?
Well, I despise him. This guy's fantastic. He's a main eventer. He's handsome. He's got a beautiful. No, I hate guys like this.
The guy.
He does appear to be extremely talented. Hey, you know who this is, don't you, Ariel? This is Mr. Water Bottle.
What do you mean?
Are you aware of that? This is the guy that Patty the Batty had the beef with,
yes.
and Patty Mr. Water Bottle.
Yes. I feel like
they could never fight because Patty was 55 and Ilya was 45. They could never fight. But I looked Ilya up back then because I thought they were just feeding Patty bump. He was 12-2 back then.
No,
I mean, this
undefeated.
guy is a badass.
He's undefeated. He's 14-0. He was probably 12-0 back then.
Yeah. Okay. Are you sure that's not just UFC? I thought he had two losses, but
no, he's
your
undefeated.
Mind is very good.
But talk about two guys who have gone in different directions, right?
Sure. Yeah. Well, he's a main eventer now. I mean, it's really a remarkable thing. Josh Emmett is so damn good. And Josh Emmett's as good of a fighter as emerged in the last 10 years. And I mean that. Josh Emmett is a prize pupil of Uriah Faber's alpha male, and that's a huge stain, baby. They've had so many championship fights, those guys. They went on a run there 14-0 at one point. I mean, I'm just saying that Josh Emmett might be the best of all of them. He's that good. Corey had no problem. I mean, he really did it. There wasn't positions. Yair had positions. There was times that Emmett was getting in. It just wasn't like that on Saturday. You know, Emmett showed his heart. He showed how tough he is, and those are compliments, but that's not what you want said about you after a fight.
Would you be in favor of the PFL buying Bellator?
Interesting concept. No. In short, no.
Why?
There was the level of sophistication in that I just don't have access to. By example, whatever Ari Emanuel's play is to buy two entities. I mean, if this works out, you could start to see ABC buying NBC. I mean, you could start to see this. This is a very unique move. When you ask me if I like it, the first thing that they do, and there might be something I don't understand, but the first thing that they do is they absorb them into one. And it's the one that bought that always absorbs. Why would you do that? I mean, why would they do that? Imagine, here'd be a great move. The PFL buys Bellator, and now there's no more PFL and everything's Bellator. Like, that would actually be something different than hadn't been done before. I believe it was a mistake to buy Pride and then shut Pride down and make it a video library that some stripper pitches on the internet. I thought that was a mistake. I really did. Why not buy Pride for $70 million, Ariel, and then keep on having Pride? Because you imagine, now you make it less. You do it once a year. You do it maybe twice a year, but you own why not do it? Why bring in an octagon instead of the ring? If you own them both, which was the entire point, you don't have to do the thing. Like, Vince could have kept the territories. Many people think that Vince had bought WCW before he announced it, and that's why he trashed it. I mean, I'm just sharing like that isn't true, but you don't have to shut him down and make it one. There's other ways to do it. If you bought it because you liked it, keep it around.
Ego,
lessen
maybe?
it. You do it less. You use the laws of supply and demand. You don't shut Pride down and bring the guys over for $70 million. Come on, man.
Okay, that's fair. I think ego is part of the reason, but my question to you is eliminating an option for the fighters, right? Because now number 2 and number 3, whichever slot you have them in, are now one entity. I can see why for fans it would be fun. Oh, let's see AJ McKee in PFL. Let's see Patricio Pitbull. But ultimately, you've now eliminated an option for the fighters, right? To get a bigger deal, to have leverage, etc.
Yes. I mean, what you're discussing there is business class 1. That would be 100-level business class. That would be like your first day at 18 as a freshman sitting on campus. That's not an advanced method. I mean, in all fairness, Errol, is not. We've seen competition come and we've seen competition go. The price has gone nothing but up. And nobody, regardless of competition, has raised as high as the evil, awful UFC, who, when I debuted, was paying $2,000 and $2,000, and now they pay $12,000 and $12,000. That is a 6 times in 18 years. Yeah, but I'm just saying, I know that you like to shrug your shoulders, but that is nobody's ever raised the bottom.
But chill, they're making hundreds of millions of dollars more. What are you talking about?
Errol,
sorry.
No, you stop doing that. You stop doing that because you and I both know about boxing, and there is other competition, and this is never how it's worked. That's how it works in your 100-level classes. You start paying a guy $5 and $10 million, you're not going to see the guy anymore. John Jones himself would like to go and fight Tyson openly for the money, so he never has to do this again. I mean, so you got this balance here, in all fairness, and that's what you start to learn when you get into the 400-level books.
Okay, fair enough. What do you make?
I always hear this all the time. Well, the option for the fighter and the thing for the fighter. I mean, I got to hear about this to nauseum, and it's like, okay, but you don't have any historical evidence to point towards that. It's just something that people keep saying. The bottom has raised faster than any industry. It's raised faster than Exxon Mobil. It's raised faster than 7-Eleven. It's faster than McDonald's, than Chevron. I'm saying that because I have some. It's raised faster than Tesla. Went from 2,000 to 12,000 in 18 years. People don't ever talk about that, though. They don't ever talk about that. When I debuted, the heavyweight champion of the world was the main event that night. 2005, Mohegan Sun, Andre Arlovski, taking on Paul Buntello. Andre Arlovski had a gimmick, too. He had the short hair. They called him the Pitbull. He had the fangs. He got 18 and 18. 18,000 to show and 18 to win. Okay. He used to be champion main event, and he was getting 18 and 18. He's jerking the curtain now, and he's looking at 160 just to leave the locker room. I mean, not for nothing, to act as though it hasn't gone up at a crazy rate, higher than every other business you could ever name. It's not true. I got to tell you, it frustrates me to constantly hear it. Or you can do the other, and you can pay him the moon, and you'll never see him again. That's
isn't there a case to be made for the revenue also going up? As a result, you have to give them a bigger piece of the pie because now the percentage.
You don't have to do that. You don't have to do that.
I know you don't have to, but.
Yeah, well, but that's
every other major league sport. The players get 50%. UFC, they get less than 20%.
Well, that's speculative. I mean, I've heard those numbers too. I don't know how accurate that is, but none of us do. Those haven't been made public. But I hear that. I've heard it's all the way down to 13 on certain years. I mean, but what do you want to do? I mean, but what do you want to do, Eric? You've got a fixed amount. You think you're doing it 40, 60. Good business for you. You think you're doing that. And then all of a sudden, a bunch of people tune in and watch that you didn't know. And now your revenues have gone up. I mean, what do you do? It sways the number. It's very tricky and fuzzy math when people do that. Nobody at the UFC. Hey, excuse me. Dana White never sat down one day and said, I'm taking 83% and you're taking 17. He worked out the numbers, hoping for a profit, and many times didn't have one. Then his idea worked better than he thought it was going to. And now you got all this revenue, which sways that number. It's fuzzy math. We can do this all day. I see politicians do it all day. It's dishonest.
Okay, fair enough. But, and by the way, here I am wanting to start the interview, giving props to the idea of Musk versus Zuckerberg. And now I'm forced to, do this game. Point is,
we start the interview with Damian Lillard. Better hoping he doesn't run into me. He should have paid his respects. He wants to talk about Crawford and Spence and the jab. He ought to be talking about Chael P kicking him in the nuts. That's what he should be talking about when I run into him at Cooperstown.
ESPN TV deal is $1.5 billion. They get 0% of that.
It's a restaurant.
0% of that. 0% of that. So it's not. You're talking.
Well, now, hold on.
You're talking pay-per-view numbers, Chael.
What do you mean they get 0% of that?
They get 0%.
Excuse me.
They get 0%.
Excuse me.
They get 0%.
Ariel,
tell me.
Ariel, please excuse me.
Tell me.
We just lived through a pandemic. There was no revenue. Excuse me. There was no revenue except what came in from ESPN. There was no live gate. The sponsors pulled out. I know that better than anybody. Everybody was worried. They didn't know if the world was going to be a sponsor. They stopped everything. The only revenue there was the ESPN. And they were paying guys and they were keeping shows going. The only revenue they had to pay was from that ESPN deal. Everything else was shut down. That is not an honest assessment.
What are you talking about? There was pay-per-view. They had pay-per-view revenue. They had other TV deals. They did have sponsors. The whole cage is littered with sponsors. I see it.
No.
There's more sponsors on that than a NASCAR truck. What are you talking about?
No. They announced this. It ended up being the greatest year that they ever had. They announced this. It didn't come in through the sponsors because they didn't pay their check. They had the contracts, but the sponsorships didn't pay. They didn't know if anyone was going to do it. It was actually understandable. Nobody got pissed. But there was no live gate. It was only from ESPN. So every dollar that went out came from that budget. So to say that they got a 0%, 100%.
Okay, what about before
that? When a God-made pandemic hit the world and they found a way, 100% of the payment came from that ESPN deal, not 0.
What about before that? What about after that?
This is fuzzy, man. Why? Look, I'm not disputing this. Ariel, please, be fair here. You got a street kid from Boston who is 32 years old, and he becomes the excuse me, becomes the president of international business. Excuse me. He did deals, and some of those deals, if the person didn't want to go out and fight, they want to sit on their spot, like John Jones. And I don't pick on him. I've given a name that you would recognize. All of a sudden, the contract that you did them 5 years ago, it's still valid. It's still valid. So along this way, you land an ESPN deal. Well, what are you supposed to do? You get infused with 1.5 from ESPN. You've already got these deals, and you've got 400 more just like it. So you're going to honor that. And sometimes you're going to be in high cotton. And it's good that you control that because a pandemic might hit that takes everything away from you. Everyone will shut down but you because you planned for it. Where's the credit for that? Honestly, where's the credit for that?
Nah, I don't want to get into all of this because I feel like we're not on the same page here. No sports league shut down. Chael, no one went out of business. What are you talking about? They were all
by shutdown they stopped, and yes they did, Arrow. Yes, they did. I was hosting Submission Underground, as you well know, which is the only.
I'm talking about like the
is
big
the only grappling event in history to be featured on SportsCenter. And you want to know they featured us? They featured us 3 days later as Craig Jones versus Vinny Magliulo, the number 2 watch grappling match of all time. Number 1 was the final match between Roger Gracie and Buchecha. Vinny Magliulo versus Craig Jones got featured on SportsCenter 3 days late. They featured it 3 days late. You want to do that? Because they called me up. They said, Chael, you were the only sporting event in the face of the world, but we heard a rumor that there was a tennis match in Moldova. So we needed 3 days to confirm that there wasn't. And that's all they said about us on sports. They got the only sport event in the history of the world. Yeah.
That's
and then
cool.
Fight Pass ends the relationship. Those guys, that was a dirty move. That's a dirty move, man. I've never been treated dirty over there before. That was dirty by them.
Where does it stand now? Where is Shug now?
Well, when you lose your distribution partner, right, and you've got promises out to your sponsors that they're going to be on said network, you got a big problem. I could have fought for it. I didn't fight for it, right? It was an ego thing, but it bothered me very much. That was very dirty what they did.
And you couldn't find another spot for it?
Excuse me. I carried them through a pandemic.
No, yeah.
I was their only piece of content.
Well, that in the UFC.
The only piece.
That in the UFC.
Their only piece. You want to know what was dishonest, Darryl? What was dishonest is when the boss calls him up and says, why did you burn my relationship with you? Well, hey, his numbers weren't holding up and a 7-day concurrent and a 24-hour. Let's ask him a different question. What was the single greatest acquisition you ever made? Boom, Wrestling Underground. What was the most watched event in the history of the platform? Boom, Submission Underground. They don't tell it that way. They try to confuse. And that's okay. That's okay. I dealt with scumbags before, but I've never been treated not by that company. That was dirty.
So that's it? It's over? It's done?
I walked from 240 grand I walked to keep peace in the family.
Yeah.
By the way, 240. No, not a contract for this was accounts receipt. I walked to keep peace in the family. Then get an email that they dropped me.
Wow. Didn't even get a thank you.
That's dirty.
And now here you are defending their honor. Or do you view Fight Pass as
That's a different, man. That's a different. What they're doing over there with Fight Pass, man, I've been at that. There is nothing in those buildings that operates like that.
You believe that?
Yeah, I believe from my experience.
You don't think Dana White could call Fight Pass and say,
women that sweep the building up. Nobody over there would say something bad about Chael P. That unit would all say something bad. The guy that carried them through a pandemic.
You don't think that if Dana White calls Fight Pass and says get Chael back on, they don't do it?
They would attempt to get back on. That's the part. I didn't fight. I didn't go to Dana for it. But yeah, of course they did. Dana told him to do it.
Why don't you just call him up and say, hey, they did me dirty?
It was an ego thing. Well, what am I going to say they did me? I mean, what am I going to say? I'm going to go to Dad. I'm going to be a baby about it. I can either handle this or I can't, right? I can either handle it or I can't. Yeah. I knew how to handle it. But then I was going to have to go run the right. You shoot the king, you best not miss. And I got to go run the org. I don't want to run it.
No.
You got to understand, right? Having a digital arm is very rare. There's 5 men walking the planet that have ever done it. You got Netflix and you got Amazon, you got Apple, you got what Vince started, you got 5. I mean, really, you don't have very many. You can throw Disney and a couple more in there. It's very small. So it's a very easy thing to walk in and hustle and manipulate. You start throwing some terms around. Nobody else knows what you're talking about. And nobody's ever done this anyway. So why can't you give it a shot? I mean, it was one of these things.
No, that's fair. I mean, there's like Fubo and Fubo and Hulu and all that, but I get it. Yeah. Did he ever write back?
I got bubbles, bro.
Still? It's the longest message.
I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means. I don't know what that. I don't know if you start and then you put your phone down and you get distracted. I mean, I imagine they're doing things over there, but this wasn't my idea. It was his idea. Wow. His idea was, well, maybe that's why he asked me to do it. Maybe he didn't have time to do it. What do you think?
Listen,
maybe that's why he said you go on. So now me saying you come on, and he's like, what are you talking about? If I was going to come on, I would have had you. I don't know. I'm thinking out loud. I'm embarrassed. I'm embarrassed because it's not happening.
No, it's okay. I sent him a message. He left me on scene over the weekend, so. I view this as, two scenes. He's left me on scene twice. Kind of view this as a half scene. Nevertheless, this was a great time. I mean, you came out guns blazing. This was tremendous. You finished that.
I do what I do, Ariel. I do as I do.
Your water is done. You keep drinking it, and there's nothing
coming out.
What do you think,
though? You know what, though? Isn't that cool? This isn't a sponsor, by the way. Is that a cool bottle? That's glass. Cool. That's a glass bottle. Yeah. It's kind of sleek. I felt good having it. You do this. I don't know.
No,
I thought just from a marketing standpoint, water, they all taste the same, but
it's a good gimmick.
It was a cool bottle.
It was cool when I checked into a Vegas hotel in 2006. How
are we going to handle? Oh, Elon Zuckerberg. Oh. No, it's Matt Lindland.
Close.
I mean, that's way off. That's
almost as cool. Almost as cool.
Anyway.
All right. Well, this
I'm embarrassed. I'm embarrassed. I couldn't make it happen. Maybe I got catfished. I don't think so, though.
No,
I think they're fighting. So. I think they're fighting the UFC 300. I believed it.
We're running with it, by the way. So I just want to let you know that.
Yeah, why not?
Breaking news. Yeah. Chael, I love you. We're going to talk to Tatiana Suarez now. Anything you want to say to her? Or?
Oh, Tatiana, tell her what's up. That's awesome. She was a world bronze medalist in freestyle wrestling.
Legend.
Tatiana's the real deal.
She is.
Tell her hello.
All right, Chael. Thank you so much.
I've had it with you, Ariel. Go. Like we're saying goodbye over and over. Here's your hat. What's your hurry? Boom.
There it is. Wow, that was incredible. What a jolt of energy and excitement that was.